because we've also already done interviews with people to ask. We asked them questions. We didn't let them know what they were going to be. We said, okay, we're going to ask you 5 questions. So we gave them random questions, and so we could get raw answers. And they gave us permission in advance to use it because we want to prove that, yeah, people have a certain type in their mind, what they think.
Right.
So we did, but we actually had some really good ones. We had some predictable ones, and then we had some really good, honest ones. So the goal is we're going to counteract that. We want people in our area to care, pay attention, realize it could be you at any minute.
Yeah.
It could be abuse. It could be a paycheck loss, a job loss. It could be a tornado. I mean, it could be any reason, anything.
Actually, how I ended up here was I couldn't, even with a job, I couldn't pay my bills.
Yeah, and that's called life. So we're going to share that stuff. So what we're doing is we are, are you ever on Facebook?
Sometimes.
Very much? There's a page called Humans of New York, which is kind of what gave us the inspiration. And it's just stories about people. And it's so interesting. And you just see the variety of what it's like. And that's kind of what we're doing too. In terms of your participation and stuff, we are creating a documentary, but it's not going to be, even though you're going to be filmed and we're going to hear audio. We actually just want to know you. We want to get to know you. So a lot of the part is going to have features. You know, let's say if you said, I played the trombone, we'll show those photos. And, you know, say you kayaked somewhere, well, it will have video of that. So it's not just this monotone, oh, it's all about, you know.
Right.
It'll be really cool. And and the goal is for you to help be an inspiration for other people around here to pay attention to who's around them and give them a way to help other people and for them to not be ignorant.
That's why I agreed to do this.
I appreciate it.
Because Dulcie explained it. I really hate pictures. I hate cameras.
Me too.
I really do. I actually almost have a phobia of it. So, But I'm really tired of the stereotypes and stuff too. You know, I mean, you come into a program like this and people automatically assume that you're a drug user or you're an alcoholic.
You're laying under the bridge. Yeah.
Or, you know, that you've done really stupid stuff to end up here.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
That's awesome. Well, hold that because you have great. I can tell this is great. What I want you to do, I want you to meet our team, and
they introduced themselves out there.
Oh, they already did. So you already have. Okay, so I'm already.
They were very polite.
All right. So I think Brian, is this ready to go? Did you hit a movie already? Okay. So this is why the reason we put this here so we. Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think
No.
it's recording.
You want to double check, make sure. Well, because the whole goal of doing it like this, we don't have to deal with it.
It'll say are you? Yeah, it'll say right there.
I'm getting this one hair in my face.
Oh, don't worry about it. And the only thing that we, just talk kind of loud if you're quiet, other than that, since I told you a little bit about us, we're all at kind of different places in college right now. As you can tell, non-traditional student, working and all that kind of stuff. But let me, one thing I want to do to ask you. Okay, let's see. Okay, what was your name again?
Tara.
Tara, that's right. Okay, so this is all I know about you. This is it. So I just know that you're a mom. You got 2 boys. You moved here from California, and you're currently looking for full-time work, right?
Yes.
So that's just generic stuff. That just shows me a little bit of. So here's what we're gonna do. The rest of this we don't really need because I just want to learn to know. We're probably around the same age-ish. I don't know. You might be younger. I don't know.
I'm 39.
Huh?
I'm 39.
Okay, you're younger. That sucks. That's okay. That's okay. So one of the things that I just like to find out is where you're from. Is California your home or?
Well, it was where my boys were born.
Where were you born at?
Well, I was born in Alaska, but when I was 4, we moved to Georgia.
Wow.
So I got ate by a dog. And we decided we wanted to be near family.
Oh wow.
So I grew up in Georgia.
So you're a Southern girl, right? Sweet tea and the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
And grits and. Well, so when you're in Georgia, do you have brothers and sisters?
I have one sister.
Okay, and at home when you were little, was it mom and dad or mom, or was it grandparents? Or
well, our family was fairly close. My parents divorced when I was 12.
Okay.
I believe. I was, we went to our grandparents all the time because it was just fun to do, and both sides of the family. I was closest, though, to my mom's parents.
Okay. But it was mom that pretty much finished the raising of you, or?
I kind of got passed around a little bit. We lived with my aunt for a while after the divorce. I lived with my mom, I lived with my dad, and I lived with my grandparents for a while.
Okay. But you had a close family network, even though you did. You still kind of didn't have that same house, though, unfortunately,
Right.
So when you were first in school, or winding back, kindergarten, the whole kind of thing, what were some of the things that you noticed about yourself that you were interested in, like music or sports or reading? What was your thing back then?
Well, I played basketball. Of course, everybody likes music. Everybody can interpret music in their own way. But I played basketball, from elementary to middle school to high school. I was just average, but I always got lucky and got with some really good teams.
That's awesome. What position did you have? Any certain position, or?
Yeah, I was either center. Or I was one of the near the basket for rebounds and things like that. But in high school there was a girl way taller than me.
So you're tall. So and was that kind of? Did you come from a sports-minded family? Did everybody do a little bit of something, or how'd you get interested in basketball?
We would play it with my dad.
So
I decided, hey, why not just play it in school? And my dad was all for it, and I was a tomboy. My dad really wanted a son, and he got me. So I was the one who went hunting with him, and we played basketball and frisbee golf and all kinds of nonsense.
That's awesome. So were you lucky? Did you get to stay in the same kind of school district all through high school, or did you move around?
I went to three different high schools. I went to Sequoia, which was in Cherokee County. I went to Norcross High School, which was in Norcross, and I went to Dr. Phillips High School, which is in Orlando, Florida.
Wow. So you did a lot. So up until through grade school, and as you started kind of getting into middle school, did you, because that's always an awkward time, especially for girls.
Oh, yeah.
It's really tough. Did you find yourself, did you have certain type of friends that you like to hang around with? What were your friends like?
Well, they were all nerds and geeks. My best friend, his name is Sam. I haven't talked to him in a few years, but we were friends from it was middle school. It was 7th grade. Through high school, we still talked, and we kind of crushed on each other, but we never really, got together as a couple or anything. My first boyfriend, his name was Brian, and he was Sam's best friend and my best friend. It was just kind of a weird thing, but I related better to boys than I did with girls.
And why did you consider yourself nerds and geeks? Why do you say that? What's an example? Why?
For one thing, one weekend I said, hey, what'd you guys do this weekend? They go, we built a catapult and catapulted cars into the lake. So they were both engineering, and they engineered a catapult that could lift cars. And they catapulted them into the lake and got in a lot of trouble.
All right. And they're probably millionaires today. No.
They're doing well. Both of them are doing really well.
All right. So did you ever find yourself, as you're getting older, did you ever get into the drug or alcohol scene with kids? Never that peer pressure?
When I was 17, I smoked pot a few times and hated it. And I said, and it was my boyfriend at the time, kind of, but I ended up breaking up with him, and he's like, why are you breaking up with me? I said, because you smoke pot, dude, and it smells, and I'm tired of it, and I don't feel like being pregnant.
Yeah. Was there anything growing up that impacted you in a negative way? Any kind of a trauma or car accident or any abuse?
Yeah.
Don't mind sharing?
That's fine. It's so common. Like, really, when you talk to people nowadays, everybody...
It's somewhere,
Yeah. I mean, they either knew someone or it was family or something. Mm-hmm. When I was 2, I got attacked by a dog, and this is what kind of set everything off. It was a German Shepherd. My dad was at work, and I'm going to have to talk about a particular dog because she was half wolf and she was half shepherd. And she was highly intelligent, and she ended up becoming kind of my nursemaid. But my mom was doing dishes. I was out in the yard playing, and Sitka, which is the dog's name, was out on what my mom called her morning or evening constitutional. She was out taking her walk. Well, the dog came over into the yard, and the neighbors, everybody knew that the dog was aggressive. Well, the neighbors didn't tell everybody that they'd lengthened the chain So the dog could actually come all the way into our yard, and it grabbed me in its mouth and took me under the porch and was shaking me. So my mom saw it happen, and she was seconds behind the dog, but the dog made it underneath the porch before she could get to me. Well, she went underneath the porch with the dog, and then Sitka showed up, and her and the dog faced off, and my mom, I guess Sitka did something, she bit the dog or something, and the dog was mad. So my mom ran over and opened the dog's mouth, and I dropped out, and she grabbed me and ran and called 911. And so I was in the hospital. Well, this started really bad things between my parents. My dad would throw it in her face that she let it happen, and I almost died, and I did almost die. I mean, my ear was gone. You can see.
Oh,
but
wow.
they rebuilt it, which was pretty darn good.
It looks really good. I would have never guessed.
For the late 70s, early 80s, yeah, it was really good. Yeah. So, I think the fact that I almost died really kind of messed with my dad a lot. I know it messed with my mom. Yeah. So it kind of it escalated into, like, every 6 months or so, it was an abusive kind of situation. When we moved to Georgia, there was a man who was kind of related to the family. But I called him Grandpa Holder. And it turned out that there was some abuse there, but that was, like, molestation. Yeah. And his daughter realized that his daughter lived with him, and she said that I couldn't come down there anymore, but she blamed me because she didn't want. Right. My mom and I talked about that a few years later, and she said, "Are you angry with me?" And I said, "No. I mean, there wasn't really anything. You did what you could."
And sometimes you can't tell who that perpetrator is going to be, so it's not like parents are, a lot of people assume parents are neglectful and they caused it, but sometimes it's just that it's the one that shows up that you think you can trust them. Exactly, the uncle, the grandpa.
Right. I mean,
everybody's like, and they're right around the corner.
Right.
So, yeah, I get that. And that's cool that you are respectful like that.
No,
And you didn't cause it.
No.
Goodness, no.
No, and it was really sad. Like, I wouldn't go down there anymore, and I think that really, broke his heart. But I was really young. I was like 4, 5, and 6.
So right off the bat, you've got physical tragedy, then you got abuse, you got these parents that you love that you have no idea why they're not getting along. And it's what's so strange is they're so in love with you as their daughter, but yet it's tearing them apart because what happened to you.
Right. It definitely, the dog attack is what started it all. And there was a lot of anger in everybody after that. I was really happy and goofy and nerdy. I read the dictionary and encyclopedias and, would go outside and play in the grass and have adventures pretending that I was in a jungle, with my little people toy.
Creative. What's your favorite book?
Probably the Bulgarian series by David Eddings. Just because.
What is it?
It's a series. It's a 5-book series, but it's called The Bulgarian by David Eddings, and he's my favorite author just because I like how he wrote.
That's awesome. I love that.
But yeah, my dad had a 6-month timer when he was really, really stressed. He would take it out on me, and I get flying across the room.
So there's physical abuse in now.
Right.
So you're not only, and so you said you have siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So where were they at? Were they treated the same way?
No,
or?
I wouldn't let my dad.
Were you the firstborn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was firstborn. And there was one time he started to go towards her, and I jumped in front of him and I said, "If you touch her, I'm calling the police." So I've always been kind of bad about that. I'll stand up for other people really fast, but I won't always.
But you kind of take it for yourself.
Right.
You're tough for everybody, the defender, mama, cub.
Yeah, I kind of am. It's not, my mom called it martyrdom. And I said, it's not martyrdom. It's just that I know I can take a lot more than most people can, and I can still be happy. So
when you started out, when you got to high school, were you dating? Were you?
No, I actually had a woman's body at 14, and it was really intimidating for most of the boys. And I found out years later, I asked one of the boys that I went to school with, I was like, "So why didn't anybody ask me out?" And they go, "Well, first of all, you're kind of intimidating, and second of all, you wouldn't put out." So kind of didn't date in high school. And unfortunately, because I had a woman's body so young, I got a lot of attention from men. Which led to, you know, another incident, which I won't really talk about, but some bad stuff happened.
Were you a minor at the time?
I was 14. Wow. I was 14. I did not talk about it or tell anybody about it until I was 23. Wow. So it's been interesting.
Well, how did you, okay, so when you went to school and you played basketball and you were still going, what kind of student were you in terms of, how were your grades?
My grades were always really good. Like, if I had a B, I kind of got mad.
Did you have, what were your plans for after school? Did you have kind of dreams or plans that you wanted to do?
Yeah.
What was that?
I really enjoyed writing. And my dad really encouraged me with writing and with basketball. Of course, for a lot of young women that grow up in these kind of situations, we kind of want to be rescued. You know, when we're young, we have like the fairy tale notion. We're morons, you know? We're morons, we have hormones and we're stupid. So I got married at 18. And he was kind of, you know, he worked, he had money, he was, you know, he would take me out. That had never happened before. So we ended up getting married. I knew going in it was a mistake. I just really desperately wanted to get unattached from my family and have my own. So God really blessed us that we did not have children because he became another 6-month cycle of abuse. And I took that.
Did you stay in the same area though? Did you guys, where did you guys live?
We stayed in Georgia. Yeah, it was kind of the same area. Like, we were never far from the family. Oh,
you're fine. No, you're fine. I knew you'd be mad at me later.
We got married. He was abusive and everything, and this is actually kind of funny, but he cheated on me, and so I said, well, I want a divorce. And when I told him I wanted a divorce, he was sitting on the couch, and he started crying. And I said, what are you crying about? He goes, I don't know why you want a divorce. I said, you almost pushed me down the stairs. You broke both my feet. You broke my finger. You broke my lip. I don't know how many times. I mean, you've done some stuff, and then you cheated on me. He goes, well, I haven't hurt you in like 6 months. I'm like, dude, I just want a divorce. Just go call your mom and tell her what's going on.
So how long were you married total to this?
5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we
no
were married.
children.
Oh yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment. Actually, I'm not anymore, but I was when I was young. But yeah, we stayed together 5 years. When he cheated, I said, that's it, I'm done.
Did you end up taking any kind of college courses or anything or training?
I did do some computerized office administration and QuickBooks accounting.
Okay. Is that where you're starting to see it? Where were you starting to see an aptitude towards that kind of field, or did you like accounting, or did you like using computers or IT? Or?
I'm a nerd, so even growing up, I was really into computers, and you know, we got the Nintendo, and all of us played the Nintendo, which still makes me laugh because my mom was so anti stuff like that. Yeah. You know.
I've had 24-hour Mario marathons. I won't lie.
My mom did that with Zelda. The original Zelda, and then she became and my mom is not that type of person. So when she told me that she'd done that, I started laughing and teasing her. But you know, I still talk to my family. I still love, you know, my mom and dad. I love all the family. I just moved far away.
Well, that's the thing. So when did you decide to move? When did that happen? Did you continue on? Did you end up in another relationship or get a job, or how did you get here from Georgia?
Well, about 2 years after I got divorced, I started seeing this one particular man. He ended up being the boy's father. He had his own issues, but he wasn't abusive. I cut that off after that. After my ex-husband, I said, there are certain things that I require and I won't deviate, you know, and no more abuse is one of them. And I've added to the list over the years, but that was definitely a big one. There's no reason for that. Nobody deserves that, and it shouldn't become something so common that you just kind of shrug it off. It's just not right. So we ended up moving out to California, which is where he was from, and I didn't know it, but I was pregnant at the time.
Had you ever been there before? Was it a whole different world for you? Was it
Yeah,
exciting?
I hadn't been over to California yet. We were up in North California, which is really different from Southern California, which is everybody's familiar with. North California is kind of like out here. You know, it's just really different. I was pregnant and we drove, and I would have to stop every once in a while to puke because, and I had no idea I was pregnant.
Oh man. Yeah.
So we finally got out here, and then I still hadn't changed too much from how I looked in high school, but after you have kids, your body changes. Right. It's just part of life. Your hips get wider, yada yada yada. So I had a flat stomach, but I had like that big baby bulge, and I couldn't stand the smell of Pepsi. And we were staying with like kind of his second family, and they just thought it was hilarious to open a Pepsi near me just to see me projectile. I don't know why they thought that was funny, but they did.
Immaturity. So how long? How old were your boys, or how did you guys get yourself established? Did you have your own home? Did you buy a home? Did you stay with people? Did you?
It was really, really shaky.
Did he work? Did he have a career or a job?
No, he would work off and on. He was very difficult. I stuck it out for the same reason every woman does it when they have kids, because we had kids. But I realized that he was not ever going to be any kind of help. The final that he did, which really, that was it. He was supposed to be, I was working in the same building that we lived, which you're not really supposed to do, but my boss was one of those people. And the police had come up the stairs, and we were literally across the hall. And the police were coming up the stairs, and I looked out because there was no really windows that you could see out of, and I looked out, and they had my 2-year-old, my youngest son, with them. And I said, "Why do you have my son?" And they said, "Because he was down in the street." And I said, "No." And they said, "That's where we're bringing him from." So we all went over next door, and I said, "How did our child end up in the street?" And it was excuse and yada yada. And the police knew I was mad. They just left it as is. Well, a week later it happened again. And they said, "If this happens again, we're going to take your child." And I said, "Oh, it's not going to happen again." And they said, "Do we need to take you out of the house? You're not going to hurt anybody?" And I said, "Of course not." So they left. They left Jarrett with B, and they went on their merry way. And this is the only time I ever did anything like this, but I tried to take a chair to their dad. That was the second time my son was out on a busy street, mind you.
Yeah.
Playing in traffic. Because he just didn't want to watch him. He was too. He could get out the door. He was smart.
So he didn't work. You're working.
Yeah,
he's at home.
he was
just
exactly
not providing, supporting.
I didn't even know what he was doing.
Wasn't even watching the kids.
No.
And yeah. And how old were the kids? How old were the boys at that time?
Jarrett was 2, and Sean was 6.
Was he in school at
he was in. I was trying to remember.
So he only had one child to watch during that.
Right. He only had one 2-year-old to watch, and Jarrett was not that hard to watch.
So what happened after that? What happened?
I said, "That's it. I'm done. I'm not. Obviously, I can't work. You're gonna have to go to work so I can stay home with our child." So that's what it ended up happening. I kind of did a work from home thing, off and on for a little while when I could find stuff. But I took care of Jarrett, and I took care of Sean, and I took care of it all. Well, 2 years later, by then things had really deteriorated between us. He was doing things like stealing and doing some other really crazy stuff that I never imagined he would do. And it was just escalating, and I knew that it was time for us to just get away. Well, I tried to get away from him before when we moved from California back to Georgia, and he ended up getting a ticket on the same plane and all this kind of stuff. So, I just couldn't get rid of him. But one thing he said was, "I'll never go back out to California," so that's where we headed. He said he wouldn't come back out to California, so that's where we went.
So then it was just you and the boys?
Mm-hmm. For quite a while.
So how did you take care of yourself? How are you financially, and where did you stay? What was it like?
We actually ended up renting a garage room for a little while. That's just what I could afford. The lady was real nice, and I just worked. The boys went to school. Jarrett started at kindergarten, and so it was a little easier. And it was, excuse me, it was probably a couple of years later that I And David, that we probably, if we had stayed in California, we'd probably be married and everything else. But David was, David's family was really.
Do you want some water?
Yes, thank you.
It gets dry in here. We've been starting to do the same thing. So, and don't worry, this is all edited.
Thank
We'll
you.
edit it.
Yeah.
But he had some. He said earlier, like, that's great. You're doing great. Awesome.
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm telling my life story.
No, that's what we. That's the thing. We want to know you. We want people to know you're a real person. You're not.
Yeah.
So no, that's what we're interested in, and we're most of the way there. So David is someone that was important to you, someone that you met, that you fell in love with. Mm-hmm. Okay, and
boys loved him.
You've been alone for a while. You've been a single mom, and then here he comes. And what was he like? Did he have a certain career? Or did he? Was he?
Yeah, he was working. He was working for, what was it called? Apple One, I think.
What was his occupation? What did he do?
He was in an office. He was HR.
Okay.
He was HR. He was doing that for quite a few years. And we actually met. One of my ways that I would try to like relieve some stress was I would play online first-person shooter games. So people didn't know that, I was a woman, and I wouldn't really tell people because they get offended when you
That's a man's world, yeah.
Right. So it was really funny because David, I had hung out with him a few times in the game, and we were really a good team. And I wasn't on all the time, so when I was on, I would try to, play with him specifically. And one day he's like, I'd run into him in another server, and I said, hey, come on inside. He's like, I can't, man. I'm hanging out with a friend of mine. And I said, well, with a name like Alara, why does everybody think I'm a guy? And that was really stupid because then I didn't get left alone. But, that was the way I could get out my frustrations.
No.
Kill people without getting in trouble.
Everybody's different. No, that's cool. Okay, so then you guys are hanging out, and then when did you actually meet in person? And you started? Did you date?
Yeah, we did. We dated.
What games did you guys play?
It was Battlefield 2142.
Oh, Battlefield was awesome.
Yeah, and this one had mechs, and I was such a geek. I was totally geeking out about being able to drive a mech and shoot people. So, and my favorite was running people over. So we would get them and just run. So it was a lot of fun, and it was great to meet someone like that when you're being silly, having a good time. And we just really suited each other. He was a lot younger than I was, but he didn't act his age. He loved the boys loved him. His family they just completely accepted us. His family is Hispanic heritage, and his grandmother is a sweet lady who really only speaks Spanish, but she tries really hard to understand what you're saying. But they absolutely completely accepted us. We officially started dating in like October of 2009, I think. Yeah, 2009. And, 2008. We officially started dating in 2008. And we went over to his family for Christmas because we didn't have any family out there. And they spoiled the boys rotten. It was terrible. Everybody bought them.
This loving, awesome family.
Yes, they were really great. His mom was not thrilled about me at first, obviously, because I was older,
But did she have a problem with you having children also?
Yeah. Well, no, she was good with that.
Oh, she was?
She loves kids. She was really good with that. She treated them...
Just the age difference.
Yeah, it was just the age difference, but once she accepted me, that was it. She loved me. They still talk about us, and we've been gone for 2 years.
So what happened? Why aren't you with David?
Well, my mom and my sister were living in Missouri, and they were working on us for a good year, and they were saying, come out to Missouri, it's great, and yada, yada, yada. And, well, I want to be, if my mom gives me the guilt trip, I want to be a family, and I want to see the boys, and I could die anytime.